All right, we'll get going here. Well, I want to welcome everybody that's on the call here, and appreciate you taking your time. And everybody's busy, getting busy now. Hopefully, Matt and I were just talking about the weather, and I'm sure everybody's experiencing different weather. We've got about 70 degrees here in North Carolina today, so not trying to make anybody jealous, but again, thanks for taking your time here. And I want to introduce Matt Fuller, who's the head professional at Caves Valley Golf Club, and really appreciate Matt taking his time and offering up some of his ideas and materials to to share some ideas about how to increase corporate sales in your golf shop. And want to keep this as interactive as possible. So as we have questions that come up, certainly ask those questions through the chat that you have available to you. We're in discussion mode right now, so Matt and I will be the only people that can talk, but at the end of the meeting, I'll open it up where you'll be able to unmute yourself and ask a question. But feel free to type those questions in as we go through the presentation here, and certainly want to get your ideas and also answer your questions, and we'll go from there. So again, really appreciate Matt, you taking your time here. So when we go ahead and start your presentation here, if you can tell us a little bit about Caves Valley and maybe a little bit about your success there.
Well, yeah, thanks Patrick, and I want to welcome everybody as well. And our weather here in Baltimore is not bad, but it's been a cold winter, as it has for probably a lot of you, especially those of you in the Northeast. But I think this is a great opportunity for me to kind of show everybody what we're doing at Caves, how we're growing our business, but also a chance for us to kind of learn from each other. And I'd be interested to know what everybody else is doing as well. And we'll talk about that at the end, and maybe we can even pick up some ideas from you guys. But some of you have been to Caves and some of you haven't. So I'll just give a brief background. We opened up the course in 1991. So we're looking forward to celebrating our 25th anniversary shortly. We're a national club located just a little bit north of Baltimore, and we have about 550 members. About half of our members actually live outside the state of Maryland, so we're considered a national club. We do a lot of entertainment. The club was really built on the premise that gave an avenue for local businessmen in Baltimore to really entertain clients and customers. So that was the premise. That's kind of been our mission statement. We do about 63% guest rounds, so we're the exact opposite of most country clubs that are have a pretty high member percentage. About half of our members are corporate members, and we'll talk a lot about our corporate business in a moment, Patrick. But about half of our members are corporate based, and it's some of the national events we've hosted. We consider ourselves to be on the national level as far as hosting events. And we started off hosting the '95 USGA Mid-Am, hosted both the '97 and 2004 AJGA Cannon Cups. We hosted probably the largest event was the 2002 U.S. Senior Open. We've hosted both the 2005 Men's NCAA Championships as well as the Women's in 2009. We hosted the 2007 Palmer Cup, and then most recently the 2014 International Crown tournament, which will be played every other year, but not at Caves. So in a couple of years,
nice.
We'll be somewhere else. So that's kind of the history on Caves. And
I think Matt, I think you're I think the thing to take away there is that you have probably a big opportunity within corporate business, obviously looking at the makeup of your membership and knowing a little bit about your club and with the on-site lodging and things like that. I mean, obviously not everybody on this call probably doesn't have the same setup, but I think we can certainly take away from some of the things that you're doing. But obviously you've got a great opportunity within this realm, so that's good. Anyways.
Absolutely. You bring up a good point. We're doing a lot of entertaining. So, on the corporate side, it's business that we saw an untapped market, 7 or 8 years ago. So we've taken steps to untap it. And, we think we've grown it pretty well, and we're going to continue to grow it further. And this next slide, it says match track record, but this is, I'm a big believer in team. So this isn't just me; it's Dennis, myself, our entire staff. But I've been at Caves for the last 8 years, going into my 9th season. I've been Dennis's head golf professional for the last 5. And since 2007, we've seen our sales increase 60%. We've seen an average increase of about 7% during that time. Our year-end inventory, we really think that we're managing our inventory levels pretty good. So we look at the barometers being 10%. If our year-end inventory is below 10% of sales, we feel like that's a good number to go into the winter season with. And our dollar per round, I mean, it started out, it was in the mid-60s 8 years ago, and it's gone up significantly since then. And part of that is corporate business, growth of corporate business. Part of that is, doing a renovation in our shop and adding about 500 more square footage so we can display more products. But you'll just see some stats there. And, Patrick, some of the merchandising principles that I really like to go over, and some of the ones that we talk about on a daily basis is, really just providing a shopping experience which is enjoyable for the member. You want to find ways, we want to find ways as a staff to get the members and get the guests coming through our shop and wanting to come through our shop. So we work hard to create that inviting experience, and that starts with having a well-trained staff ready to assist customers. We spend a lot of time and trying to figure out what products to sell. You can imagine, we're running $1 million golf shop, and we have vendors knocking on our door trying to get in here. So we have to say no a lot more than we actually say yes. So, picking out product and really spending time on our seasonal buys is important for presentation, for image. And it really kind of leads itself into, customer service. Does your staff greet everybody, on a professional level? Vendor relations is also important. Who are you partnering with? We found that 8 or 9 years ago, we were partnering with way too many vendors. So we believe in having stronger partnerships with fewer vendors than having, average relationships with everybody.
Yeah,
really
and I think I think the vendor relations is really key with what the topic is here today with increasing the corporate. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Just because we have about 20 vendors in our shop doesn't mean we're doing corporate business with 20 vendors. So, our vendor relations are just as important, on the corporate level as it is for, just buying product for the shop. We have a open-to-buy merchandising plan that we kind of live by. We look at it, not on a daily basis, but we look at it on a monthly basis, especially when we're doing our pre-books for fall, our pre-books for the spring. And we try to figure out, well, were we heavy a little bit? So it's probably nothing new that anybody else doesn't use, but it's just kind of our own little spreadsheet that we use, and kind of works for us. And then also we try to challenge ourselves, Patrick, on creating 3 new ideas every year. What are we going to add differently to our shop? Are we going to bring in a new product? How are we going to add to the presentation?
What are your ideas this year?
Well, actually,
yet.
what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about. I can talk about a couple of things. So, one of our ideas this year is we're going to work on really creating like a club tie, and we've never really had a club tie. We have a member's blazer, but we need to find a club tie, and we're going to work with Polo to design it. So that's just an idea. It's going to add something to our shop. It's going to, we're going to have the tie on display up in our members only area. But also some of the ideas, that we've kind of, found in the past that have been successful is, there's this new company, Patrick, called Signs by the Sea.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of guys on this call probably are already using them, but it's a really good company.
That's
Out of
great
New
stuff.
Jersey. Great stuff. They do custom signage for your shop. I mean, they do pretty much custom anything. I mean, we just spent a significant amount of money with them. They're displaying or working on designing a couple of displays for us, and we're looking forward to getting those. They haven't been delivered yet. Great company.
They have that. They have that family sign. Where you can get like the boards with your kids' names on it. I did that a couple of years ago with them, and they actually put it in their catalog. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, they do custom wine bottle holders. Right now, they have like a custom, kind of beer bottle opener that somebody can just mount on the wall. I mean,
that's neat.
And then I would say 2 years ago we introduced Antis belts.
Mm-hmm.
And they have just really taken off. I mean, Antis belts is, for those that don't know about the company, it's hand-cut leather belts where you size up the member or the guest in the golf shop, and then you cut the belt in front of them. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes, and you deliver it.
That's a personalized service with that is really neat. And Matt, we had a couple questions here. Alan Carter wanted the name of the company. The one we were just talking about, Alan, was Signs by the Sea. It's basically kind of like these vintage signs that they do. I'm sure if you Google that would come up. And then Taylor, nice job there. They've sold a bunch of Taylor Randall at Congressional. Just said he sold 14 to 16 of the beer bottle openers. So obviously they're going to be a big hit. I think I'm going to get one myself.
One more company that I would imagine that not a lot of people have even heard of is a company called Deneen Pottery. They might be out of Wisconsin, but they do amazing custom pottery where they will put
how's that spelled, man?
Logo. Excuse me?
How is that spelled?
Deneen Pottery. And I think the minimums, they're a little high. I think you have to order at least 2 dozen per color or per style.
Mm-hmm.
And we give them out for a couple of events. We order them for the shop, and you can pretty much choose whatever color you want, whatever style you want. But just an idea that we brought in. We brought them in a few years ago, and it kind of adds a nice touch for displays, putting them in displays, working them in displays.
Nice.
And so I would say those are some of my principles. But I wanted to start really talking about corporate merchandising. I mean, we really saw a untapped area, Patrick, of growth potential back in the end of 2007. We were doing roughly about $20,000 worth of corporate merchandising. It was just by chance. We weren't promoting it. We weren't going after it. And we thought, half of our members are corporate. I mean, do they even know that they can get their logo on product with our logo? And
right.
So our first initiative was, okay, well, how are we gonna target these guys? So we put together a list of our top 40 members, and those were members that may have probably entertained the most at Cades in the past. It's probably how we came up with the top 40. And we really leaned hard on, it was Fairway and Green at the time, but we leaned hard on them basically saying, hey, look, will you do this for us? I will basically give every member the opportunity to order through Fairway and Green if you help us with this. So what they did was they gave us a short sleeve shirt and a vest. And I was able to go online, and I got just about every corporate logo online, and I had them digitized, Fairway and Green digitized just about all of them. They put their logo on the sleeve, our logo on the chest, and then they put our logo on the chest of the vest, and I included the product with this letter in a gift box. We sent this gift box to the 40 members that we were targeting at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And just said, here's what we're doing. We'd love to We'd love to talk to you about your corporate business. And I tell you what, Patrick, about 35 of the 40 members had no idea that they could dual brand merchandise. They're like,
Yeah. So the communication is key.
Yeah, I mean, they had no idea that that could even be done. And so for a lot of them, it was a no-brainer. I mean, it started out, maybe orders of 24 units. We got a couple of orders of 80 units. So it started out kind of light at first, and then it just continues to grow every year, because once you have your member hooked and you show them value, and they see value by, what their guests think of the product, and if you show them a discount, I mean, we currently discount all of our corporate orders by about 20% off of retail, along with not upcharging them on the increased logo fees, which we try to push our vendors to absorb.
Right. Do most of them do that?
They do. I would say that just about all of our vendors that we do corporate business through, they're either offering no charge embroidery, or they're doing a 10% off, but we're getting some sort of discount, because
Right.
They want the business and they know that their product is going into the right hands.
Helps you with your margin.
Most vendors are happy to do at least a 10% discount, I would say.
Yeah.
So that was our first initiative, and I'll talk a little bit about our second initiative here in a second. But just want to go to the next page here, where this is a sheet that we created back in 2009, and it's just a random gift pack form. It can be used for corporate merchandising. It can be used for just gift packs in general. We use it a lot for, even if a member doesn't have corporate merchandising or corporate merchandise on property, they'll use this gift pack, which they can get off of our website. They'll fill out this sheet, either fax or email it to us, and then before their arrival, we'll put gift packs in their rooms. Maybe they just want us to hold on to the gift packs and give them to their guests after golf. But I think you brought up a good idea a couple of hours ago when we were talking about how, letting the members see a form like this on more of an online basis would be very helpful, like using a Google Docs, or, if anybody has access to SurveyMonkey. I mean, we use SurveyMonkey, so it kind of, works for us. So going forward, this sheet will probably turn into more of an online survey type.
Yeah. And that's where, we were talking about that, Matt. I think it's to have something like this, and with a link on your website, or that you can put into emails, that it's going to expedite the process for somebody to do the corporate business with you. If they're able to just click a couple things on either on a survey or a form, that they don't have to write this in and fax it to you. Just the time that it takes to do that, you might potentially lose some of that business, where you just want to make it as easy as possible. So I think that's a best practice. One thing I wanted to ask you about, Matt, was that you kind of touched on it, and I know we talked about it, but with a lot of your corporate business, you're inventorying the merchandise in your golf shop or somewhere in a stock room, basically. Is that what I'm understanding? That somebody orders X number of shirts with their corporate logo, and you're actually holding on to them for when they tell you to, hey, I've got guests coming out, and let's have a package for them. Is that right?
We do. We have about 90% of our corporate orders. We store their product. We have a rather large storage room, so we store their product at Caves. And when the inventory gets low, I mean, we'll send out a reminder. You only have 20 units left. You're out of mediums. Do you want to fill in? Do you want to just, if it's October, a lot of times they'll just say, now let's just wait, and I'll order some stuff out of the spring catalog. We have a few members, Patrick, that receive their goods in the mail, and they, at their office, and they'll just distribute them, at their own discretion, but a lot of the times, yeah, we'll have. I might have 1,200 units upstairs in our stock room.
Nice.
And, a member will call up, and a lot of these members host overnight guests. So we're taking their product, combining it with Pro V1 balls or a divot tool, putting together a gift pack, and then putting it in each guest room.
Yeah, and I would think that it's a best practice. I mean, it's very similar to the custom ball program that, some people on this call might do, and if you don't, I would recommend doing it. But it's kind of that same concept. The custom ball program, essentially members would have their whatever ball they wanted, whatever number, whatever imprinted. And the way I did it was I stocked 3 dozen in the shop for them, just in the back room. And every time I knew they were coming out to play, I would just hand them a sleeve of their golf balls. Because what happens then, when you have control over that inventory, when it gets low. And that with the custom ball program, part of the agreement was that I would just reorder the golf balls for them and, just keep them at a par level of 3 dozen. So it's almost the same thing with this. If you have those shirts or whatever it is, and they're getting down to a certain level, if you're inventorying them, versus when you let them have them all at once, then it's easier for you to perpetuate that business and turn it over and say, hey, you're down to 10 shirts, let's go ahead and order another 100 or something like that. So I would think as a best practice would be, try to keep it somewhere where you have the inventory of it, and then it's also a service for them. That hey, call up and say, Matt, I've got 3 guests coming out. I want, they're this size, and this size, and makes it easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it works for us, and I can't see it being as efficient if it didn't work this way. Like you said, if everybody was having their product delivered to their office, it's it's kind of out of our control, and we don't know how much they've given out and how much they haven't given out. So,
right.
I think another point, kind of to get off topic a little bit, is corporate members. They're finding their business from someone. They might not be necessarily looking to put their home club's logo on everything, but they're definitely ordering product with just their company logo from somewhere. And so we've, like, just an example, like, this whole, and I'd be surprised if anybody wasn't doing this Titleist buy 3 get 1 free promotion, the loyalty program, and it's great for Titleist to kind of allow us to do it with a lot of our members, but we've taken it a step further and just combine corporate merchandising needs on top of a mass email. Like, for instance, we're kind of tackling our corporate members and promoting, this isn't just an order for imprinting, but if you have any needs for corporate ball orders, even if it's just your logo, the discount is pretty significant, and we'd love your business. And just for one quick email, I think we've gotten about 200 dozen on order with corporate logos.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer, and that's talking about that using like the Google Doc for forms. I used to do that a lot with the loyalty program, and it was such a no-brainer, just sending out a blast email promoting that, leading up to it, and then the orders just coming through on that form. So I think what sort of to piggyback on your thought there is that they're buying. I always looked at individuals like, hey, their golf bag, their golf clubs, their shoes, their socks, their shirts, their golf balls, their gloves. They're buying it from somewhere. You got to give them a reason to do it with you, and a lot of that comes down to service and having programs available to them. But that making it easy for them to do the business with you, I think is really important. Finding ways to make that easy. Anyways, just some thoughts there.
Yeah, absolutely. To get into kind of our second initiative, so we started our corporate initiative probably at the end of 2007. We saw our sales grow, pretty significantly in the first. We were up there around 50 or 60,000 annually, and so about 3 years ago, over the winter time, I got in touch with a one of our younger members who owns an advertising company about 10 miles down the road from us. And I said, hey, here's an idea that I have. Would you be interested in collaborating with me on it? And I don't know, I can't really pay you that much, but, maybe we'll allow you to bring some guests out here, and we just, we won't charge you. So what we did was we ordered some samples from Fairway Greens, from Peter Millar, from Under Armour, with corporate logos on them, just different pieces, just to use for the photography. And then we set up some displays in the shop, and he had his people come out here and took some really nice photographs, and we kind of put together this corporate merchandising brochure, which is great for members to visually see what we can offer. There's one thing to kind of tell them what you can offer, but they, for them to visually see, what a shirt looks like with their logo on it and Case Valley logo. I mean, there's a lot of value there. So kind of just flipping through here just a little bit, you can kind of see some different looks. You'll see a Fairway Green wind shirt. You'll see a, Peter Millar Perth quarter zip layering piece. And it's, just kind of, it works for us, and we've tweaked it a little bit. We tweak it a little bit every year, but it's not this isn't a brochure where we have to go back and completely restructure it year after year. I mean, a lot of these photographs will continue to stay the same for the next few years.
So do you, Matt, do you do this in print as well as just emailing it out and having it on the website?
We did not mail it. We typically don't do mailings anymore. So we didn't mail it to each member, but we emailed them a link so that they could view this like as a PDF attachment.
Yeah.
And then we also have it on our website.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe just more around the golf shop, but I mean, I don't think there's really a lot of value in the expense. Of actually doing the print is probably not worth it. I mean, this looks really good. I think the one thing is, as I was looking at this, again, going back to the making it very easy for them, is to insert links to the forms. Like if you guys go to that order form, is to maybe have the link for that order form right embedded into this PDF where, somebody's looking at it, then they're like, yeah, boom, I want to order that Winston leather, and there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Great idea. Great idea. So, just kind of flipping through here just a little bit. Best practices.
Yeah.
It's
I want to do. Go ahead, Matt. I was just going to. Go ahead. I was just going to highlight some of these best practices, but I'll let you run through them.
Well, you can. I'll talk a little bit about some of the ones that we're using more than others, and then you can talk a little bit.
Sure.
But like on the communication side, it's I think it's really important. How as a staff, how are you communicating to members? Do a lot of blast emails. We, our verbal communication, face-to-face communication is big, especially with corporate merchandising. I'd say a lot of the orders we get are just by members showing up to the club for the first time during the season. We just, especially a corporate member, just talking to them about, hey, do you know about our program? Here's what we do. I think, we've seen a lot of value in it. If you want, I'd be happy to just get a sample piece made for you and have you take a look. So it's a lot of face-to-face communication. We put together a lot of PDF flyers. For instance, we host a Peter Millar trunk show twice a year. And for each trunk show, we invite our corporate members to attend. So we've gotten a lot of business out of our corporate members attending the trunk show. I mean, they'll look at like that they can pre-buy 6 months ahead of time, and pretty much just order their product knowing that they can choose whatever shirt they want. They're not looking in a selected corporate catalog where there's only 3 solids available and 3 stripes. So I think there's a lot of value in, for us at least, getting our members that buy annually, to our trunk show in August and showing them, okay, here are all the different shirts you can buy from Peter Millar for spring delivery.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's also a nice personalized service as well.
Right, exactly. We're, as a staff, we're always constantly branding our logo. I think it's really important that the staff is involved. They're very aware of, our program. They're very aware of what we're doing as far as promoting, corporate merchandising and really promoting everything and trying to, sell everything out of the golf shop. So our staff, they're knowledgeable, and we've had vendors. I've invited vendors to come into Caves and just talk a little bit about, what they're offering and how we can be better at our jobs selling the product to the members. That's not just on the apparel side, but, clubs as well, club sales.
One thing I was thinking about with the staff involvement, Matt, was that, I don't know if you do this, but it might be something that is worth considering, is that if you have, if there's one individual in charge of the program, and for you it might be you, but for other people they might, put it in the hands of one of the assistants, is that, maybe potentially incentivizing them, with some kind of, lack of a better term, bonus, towards how much can you grow the corporate business, and just let one individual sort of run with it. For a lot of operations, I think there might be some value in looking at that type of program.
Absolutely. Putting together, we don't really have much of an incentive program, but I think it's a great idea, and there's a couple of different ways you could structure it, especially, year-end growth. I mean, it's a win-win for the club and the staff, if you can grow your business year after year. I think it's also important to really push vendors to give free staff product, no charge uniforms. And, I don't know how many clubs, I mean, we're a little different just because of the volume of business that we're doing. But, you don't really know. I mean, it's hard for vendors to really say no. So it's, to get a vendor to chip in and give each staff member, 2 shirts at no charge every season. It's a win for the vendor, because he gets his product on staff members where they can probably get, wear anybody's, product. And then it's, a win for the club because the club's not having to spend money on uniforms.
Yeah, and I would think that over time, I was just thinking that, if you have a track record of doing a certain amount of corporate business with somebody, and you develop that over time, then it's easier to go to another vendor and say, hey, do you want to partner with us? Because here's what we've done in the past with some of these other vendors, and if you want to be a part of this, then we want whatever, maybe do 2 shirts complimentary for our staff or something like that. So I think it's important to just kind of, it builds, as your corporate business builds, it's going to be easier to get other vendors involved that want to be a part of that, if that makes sense.
It does. I mean, absolutely. I'd be surprised if somebody's not getting at least, one shirt a year at no charge for their staff, or maybe 2 shirts. But, I think it works for us. I mean, there's some products that we have to pay for, but we're not paying for many uniforms, and we have 12 guys on staff, and everybody wears the same shirt every day. So it's a nice look. It's a good image for us. I mean, some clubs do it a little differently, where I think you just allow your staff to buy a certain amount of product, and you just give them an allowance. But, having image is important. It kind of translates back to, what your shop looks like, presentable. What is your, what kind of image is your staff projecting? And, I think the utilization of technology, I think in today's world, I mean, looking back on it, 10 years ago, we weren't sending out many mass emails. we were typing up letters, mailing letters. So now I think, the utilization of creating mass emails. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but we use SurveyMonkey. GEMS, which you're running, has a great survey tool and a great way of communicating with members for order tracking. And it's phenomenal what you're doing. So hopefully everybody on the call has at least seen what you've been able to offer to people.
Yeah, there's probably a few I need to, but a couple comments I wanted to make, and thanks for that, Matt. The communication part of it, I feel like is key. Like you said in the beginning, you had 40 of the 35 of them didn't even know. You got to make sure that people know that you do have this ability to assist them with corporate business. The visual marketing, which you guys have done a great job with, and it's not. I don't know. You had somebody you sort of outsourced that, but if you're on a budget and maybe you don't have a lot of money to spend on that type of marketing, I think you can create something on your own using Word or even Publisher or something like that, tools that you have available that if you have a sort of a tech savvy individual on your staff that can help you with that, it's not hard to create on a budget, some visual marketing for you. Simplifying the selection process, I thought was important to put in there. In that, you don't want to just say like, hey, we can do whatever you want, because I think if you're talking to somebody and put yourself in that position, you're like, oh yeah, whatever you want. I'm like, well, I don't really. I mean, I've got so many thoughts that I can't even pare it down. I'm not going to get to the point where I can place an order. So if you give them A, B, C options, it makes it easier for them. You're almost, leading the horse to the water, and then you can customize maybe a little bit within those packages, but really kind of defining like, here's what we can do. And then they'll probably come back with, can we do something a little bit different? The vendor relationships, which are huge. I mean, you guys are doing a great job with that, Matt. I mean, you've and everybody's going to be different, but I mean, you've got to have those relationships, that trust that that your outside rep is going to take care of you, that they're have your best interest in mind. So those relationships are huge. And you touched on this. I mean, with the 40 people, you knew your members and who their companies were. Probably not. I mean, if you had one individual in charge of a corporate program and you just, let them try to research, who get to know the members, know what their companies are, what their companies do, what their involvement with the company is, then, the more it's going to be easier to promote these things to them. You're going to your staff involvement, and then we used to do a lot of that, what you were mentioning, the product knowledge seminars. I always used to challenge myself and my staff to know 3 things about everything that was on the floor that weren't readily apparent. So if you have a pair of shoes or a shirt, be able to start a conversation with somebody by showing them something that wasn't readily apparent. So that takes a lot of, not a lot, but it takes effort to learn that. But your vendors, I used to rely on my vendors to come in and do product knowledge seminars. So they've got to know what you have and what the benefits of all these things are, and especially with this corporate business, because they're, as you know, Matt, I mean, you have your outside staff that's greeting members and guests at the bag drop. I mean, you're going to see that person maybe once and get the chance to shake their hand, or maybe you see them twice and you go out in the course, you see them. But, somebody pulls in, they see the outside staff, they go into the locker room, they come back out, they see them again, they go on the course, they make the turn, they see them again, they come off the course, number 18, they see them again. 4 or 5 times those people are interacting, and you're doing other things, that it's just so important that those people can have an effect on your business, not only with their attitude, but their knowledge of things. And you talked a little bit about this. I mean, the on-hand gift packages, I think it's important. One thing I used to do when I was at this club called Hazen Tree, it was a new Tom Fazio design, and I had a member there who was he was owned a auto dealership, and he had guests out all the time, and I had some golf balls, and also he had like I think it was some visors or some hats, and he asked me, he's like, "Do you think we could get these signed by Tom Fazio?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know, but I'll give it a try." So I sent 24 hats off to Mr. Fazio, and he was nice enough to sign them all. So he had these signed hats by Tom Fazio that whenever he had important guests out, he would just say, "Hey, have that gift package for me." So I think there's things that you can do there and be creative and unique that things like that can add some value there. The member incentive, what is it? What's the member incentive? I mean, your pricing on your stuff, Matt, I guess is a very, very nice incentive, but maybe there's other things that you can do to incentivize your members to utilize your corporate business. Then the technology part of it, like you touched on. I mean, it's just there's so many things out there. I mean, I think we talked a little bit about the using the forms or SurveyMonkey. That just makes it so easy for the member to say, "Hey, yes, I do want to have an order. This is what I want," and then it alerts you that here's either I need to reach back out to the member and find out, or go ahead and place this order. And that technology is doing a lot more than that. It's like you touched on the gems. It's like knowing more about your members, and then developing a program. Who's on this program? And then what did they do with us in the past? Knowing all of that information is only going to make it easier for you to perpetuate that business going forward. And it's like you said. I mean, once you hook them, then it's easy to just grow that business. And as an old saying is, the easiest way to increase your business is to do more with the current business you have. So the people that are in your corporate program, just every year try to do more with them. So anyways, those are just some thoughts I had on the best practices there.
I couldn't agree more. And just Patrick, just one more thought. I think on the vendor partners, it's so important for us to really lean on partners and have strong relationships on the corporate side with vendors that have a pretty good track record of doing corporate dual logoed merchandise. And like Peter Millar is one of them. They excel at it, and they've gotten to the point where they email us CAD images, not only for corporate logos, but for any item that we're buying for our shop. We'll be able to see a CAD image of what our logo looks like on the background of the shirt, whether it's a stripe, a solid. We'll see exactly what our logo looks like. We'll be able to change it up, and that's also important for we forward that logo onto the corporate member and go, okay, here's what your logo is going to look like on the image of the shirt. Do you like how it looks? Do you have the ability to go club colors, or does the logo have to be specific colors? And then to go a step further, it's so important to really get the size of the logo correct, and make sure that the member is approving everything before finalizing the order. There's nothing worse than getting a 100-unit order in and finding out that you didn't really spend that much time on the actual logo side, and you kind of learn from your mistakes. One of our first corporate orders was with a company we do a little bit of business with, and we didn't really spend all that much time and really refining the size of the logo. Well, the logo came out looking like his guests were going to be in a NASCAR race. I mean, the logo came out so big, and we had to eat some of that product and get a new order in. So that's just one thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah, and I think the important thing there is attention to detail. I mean, it's just like anything. I mean, in your business, attention to detail is huge. But I mean, placing an order for one shirt from Peter Millar that comes in wrong. You don't want that to happen, but you really don't want to have 100 shirts come in with something wrong with them. So it's that attention to detail is huge. Well, what I thought we might do now, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to turn this into more of a question and answer mode, where you'd be able to unmute yourself.
All attendees are muted and may unmute themselves by pressing *6.
So if anybody wants to, ask any questions, whether it's through the chat or to unmute yourself and ask a question, we wanted to open that up now, or give us your ideas about maybe what you're doing. We've got a lot of people on this call, I'm sure, that are, doing a lot of corporate business that could offer some ideas. So we certainly want to share as many ideas as we can here. So I just sort of wanted to open up to that. And Matt, really appreciate your time and going through your presentation here. It's obviously been effective for you guys, and certainly something I think everybody can probably get a little bit out of. Yeah, shotgun's going out here for Alan, so he's got to get going. But I'm sure everybody else has a lot going on. But if anybody wants to offer any ideas right now, I just want to sort of open it up to any question and answer. Or Matt, if you had any more ideas or anything you wanted to chat about.
No, I would just be curious in hearing, even if it doesn't happen in the next 10 minutes, just having everybody on like an email chain and just hearing like new ideas or ideas that have worked in their shops, for the last couple of years, and maybe it's something we can pick up on. Yeah,
that's a good idea. What I'll send out an email. And one thing, just so everybody knows, I am going to forward this presentation to everybody that's on this call. Some of the folks that called in that didn't register, that aren't viewing, I may not have your email. So if you just called in, if you can just send me a note asking me for the presentation, I'm happy to forward the presentation. But that's a great idea, Matt, is to just get everybody on an email chain, or just get some ideas about what people are doing within their own. But let's see here. We had a question from Michael. What's your lead time from introducing concept of corporate dual logo merchandise to your member? What time of the year do you pitch this to them? Matt, you want to?
Okay. Yeah. So our lead time, we spent a lot of time at the beginning of the year. We don't open up the course until April. So I would say from April through May, a lot of the times we're seeing members for the first time. That's when we're really pitching this to them verbally. But I would say we have this brochure on our website. We're sending out a mass email, as late, probably as late as the end of April is when the email will go out about corporate merchandising needs. But I would say it goes a step further, Patrick, where, especially if somebody is already doing business with us, like I said, I invite them to our Peter Mall Trunk Show in August, where they can pre-buy for spring. So those are a lot of repeat customers. But I'm pitching to a lot of members in the spring. Yeah,
and in some level, it's just you're always doing that, right? I mean, it's just you're every day in and day out. It's got to be sort of in the back of your mind, because you might come across somebody that's just like, hey, oh, by the way, do you know about our corporate program?
Right.
And Tom,
Tom
Harris.
Yeah. Two more questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Tom Harris was asking if anybody else has a corporate corner to show items. So if anybody does, let us know and how you do that. Matt, you guys, I think you mentioned that you do. Do you have that in your shop, Matt? The sort of the corporate corner.
We do. We don't have enough shop space to actually have a corporate corner visible in our shop, but we have a lot of sample items that are upstairs. So if somebody really comes in and wants to, and we're promoting our program, I can easily take a sweater or take a shirt and show them, hey, here's a sample item from a member that ordered product with us last year, and we have maybe like 12 different logos on 20 different pieces. You don't even need that many, but that's what we have.
Yeah, and I think that's important to do, or at least to have something not that's more than just the catalog. Maybe it's it's a piece from, if you're, obviously Matt, have a lot of corporate shirts somewhere that you could just actually probably go grab one and show somebody, like, oh, this is what X member does with his company, and, that would spark some ideas for them as well. And then Alex, my buddy Alex Mendez, Butterfield Country Club. What's your? I don't know if we talked a little bit about pricing, Matt, but it says Butterfield does zero. So is that, Alex? Are you talking about dollars, $0 to $1,999? They get 20% over, and then okay, I think that's what you're talking about. I got you. Do you have a scaling? Matt, do you scale it by how much they do?
We do a little bit, yes. So we scale it by, it's kind of volume driven. So everything is a percentage off of retail. And so our largest discount is going to be 25% off of retail. And that's really for a customer that's ordering, close to 100 plus units. And, that's just a straight discount. We're not charging any incremental fees for embroidery or so forth. And then it kind of scales down from there, 20% off. And then, if somebody's ordering, I think it's 24 shirts or so, maybe we'll do about, 15% off. So entices them to buy a little bit more if they can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's important to have that scale, or whether it's dollars or units, to say, hey, get to this point and you get more. I mean, obviously that could drive your sales up if you're showing them that, if they do more with you, then they're going to have an overall net savings.
Right.
And then Jason Ballard, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I think it's also important that, members really, our logo travels well, so it's, most people know what our logo looks like, if they're traveling around the country to a lot of prestigious clubs and they see a Caves logo, it's like, oh, are you a member of Caves, or, have you been there as a guest? So members want to showcase, they love buying product with the logo on it. So I think that entices them to just put their company logo. They realize that when they give a shirt to their guest is going to want the Caves logo more than their company logo. So they're really buying the product first and foremost because of your logo, because of the home team's logo.
Yeah.
But if they can buy product that allows them to put their logo on it, even if it's a tonal logo, they'll do it if it's in a subtle position on the shirt.
Right, that's interesting. And then Jason Ballard from Oak Hill had a good comment here about members love to sit in the sales vans with vendors to see all the products. I think that's so. I agree with that. We when I was at Carmel Country Club in Charlotte, we did, for our member guests, we had our FootJoy van right at the putting green. So part of the winners, of the flight winners, got to go into the van and do this. And I mean, we had so much incremental sales on top of what they already purchased, because it was just it was that sort of insider feeling that they get. So I completely agree with that. That if you get the right individuals, and this I mean, just something I was thinking about a few years back. I'm fortunate. I'm located close by to Peter Millar, and when I did when I was at Hazentree, I took a group of members, couples. It was 10 couples to Peter Millar, and they actually did a kind of a trunk show at their office. Oh my gosh, it was a home run. I mean, I did so much business. So that insider type feeling, I think, is always really neat to have for the members, where they get that sense of being inside a little bit. But anyways, well, listen, I appreciate everybody being on the call here today. We're sort of bumping up on our time here, but if anybody has any questions, I'll include Matt's email in my follow-up message to everybody. So if you want to communicate with Matt, and Matt, again, thank you for your time. Really appreciate that, and look forward to talking to everybody in the near future.
You're welcome. Happy to do it. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, Matt. Take care.